what is it that's actually experiencing this moment right now? I mean, really think about it. You're not just a biological machine processing data. You're aware. You feel the warmth of the sun. You taste your morning coffee. You experience joy, sadness, and the simple act of being. This inner world, this subjective reality, is what we call consciousness, and it's arguably the biggest mystery in the entire universe. For centuries, we've tried to crack its code, coming at it from every possible angle. Today, we're going on a journey through three of those major angles: science, philosophy, and mysticism, to see what each can tell us about what consciousness really is. Let's start with science. For a long time, the scientific community was hesitant to even touch consciousness. It seemed too subjective, too unmeasurable. But that's changing. Neuroscientists are now diving deep into the brain, searching for the neural correlates of consciousness. The idea is that for every conscious experience, there must be a corresponding pattern of activity in the brain. They use tools like fMRI and EEG to watch the brain light up as people perform tasks, feel emotions, or even dream. One of the leading theories is the integrated information theory, or IIT. It suggests that consciousness is a product of a system's ability to integrate vast amounts of information. The more complex and integrated the information, the higher the level of consciousness. So, your brain, with its 86 billion neurons and trillions of connections, is a master integrator, creating the rich, unified experience you're having right now. Another popular idea is the global workspace theory. This theory pictures the brain like a theater. Most of the brain's activity is unconscious, happening backstage, but when a piece of information becomes important enough, it's broadcast to a global workspace, the stage of the theater where it becomes available to the rest of the brain. And that's when we experience it consciously. These theories are fascinating, and they're getting us closer to understanding the how of consciousness, the mechanics behind it. But even if we map every single neuron, science still runs into a massive roadblock: the hard problem of consciousness. This is where philosophy enters the scene. The term hard problem was coined by philosopher David Chalmers. The easy problems are about how the brain processes information, how it focuses attention, how it controls behavior. We can figure those out. The hard problem is, why does all that processing feel like something from the inside? Why is there a subjective, first-person experience? Why do we have qualia, the redness of a rose, the taste of chocolate, the feeling of pain? Why aren't we just incredibly sophisticated robots, or philosophical zombies, that can do everything a conscious being can do, but with no inner light on, no one home? Philosophers have wrestled with this for millennia. Some, like Daniel Dennett, argue that the hard problem is an illusion, a trick of the mind. They believe that once we solve all the easy problems, the mystery of subjective experience will simply dissolve. Others, known as dualists, harking back to René Descartes, argue that consciousness is something fundamentally different from the physical brain. It's non-physical, a separate substance or property of the universe that interacts with our physical bodies. This idea has fallen out of favor in many scientific circles, but it resonates with our intuition that our minds feel separate from our bodies. Then there's panpsychism, the ancient idea that's making a modern comeback. Panpsychists propose that consciousness isn't something that emerges in complex brains. Instead, it's a fundamental property of matter itself. Just like mass or charge, a tiny bit of consciousness exists in every particle, every atom. In brains like ours, these tiny bits of consciousness combine to form the complex experience we know. It's a wild idea, but it elegantly sidesteps the hard problem by weaving consciousness into the very fabric of reality from the start. Now, let's venture into the realm of mysticism. While science looks outward at the brain and philosophy uses logic to deconstruct the problem, mysticism looks inward, using direct experience as its primary tool. For thousands of years, traditions like Buddhism, Hinduism, Sufism, and Christian mysticism have developed sophisticated practices like meditation and contemplations specifically designed to investigate the nature of consciousness firsthand. What do they report? Well, across many different cultures and time periods, mystics often describe a strikingly similar core experience. They talk about transcending the individual self, the I or ego that we normally identify with. In deep meditative states, the feeling of being a separate person in a world of separate things can dissolve. What's left? Many describe it as pure consciousness itself, vast, boundless, unified field of awareness that is the source of everything. In this view, our individual consciousness isn't something our brain creates. Instead, the brain acts more like a radio receiver, tuning into a universal consciousness that's always present. Our thoughts, our memories, our sense of self are just modulations or patterns within this greater field. The mystics say that the ultimate reality isn't matter or energy, but consciousness. Everything we perceive the world, our bodies, our thoughts, an appearance within consciousness. This perspective flips the scientific view on its head. Instead of the brain producing consciousness, consciousness produces the brain and the entire experience of the physical world. It's a radical and profound claim, one that can't be proven in a lab but can, according to these traditions, be directly experienced by anyone willing to undertake the inner journey. So, where does this leave us? We have science telling us consciousness is an emergent property of complex information processing in the brain. We have philosophy asking why that processing should feel like anything at all, proposing that consciousness might be a separate substance or a fundamental property of the universe, and we have mysticism claiming, based on direct experience, that consciousness is the ultimate reality, the ground of all being, and our individual minds are just temporary ripples on its surface. Are these views incompatible? Maybe not. Perhaps they are just different maps of the same mysterious territory. What if the integrated information that science measures is the physical side of the fundamental consciousness that panpsychism and mysticism talk about? What if the brain isn't a generator, but an antenna, a biological instrument evolved to receive and process a universal consciousness into a personal, human experience? The truth is, we don't know for sure. Consciousness remains the final frontier. It's the one mystery that we are not just trying to solve, but that we are also living within. It's the observer and the observed. Perhaps the ultimate answer won't come from just one of these fields, but from a grand synthesis of all three, combining objective, third-person data from science with the logical rigor of philosophy and the subjective, first-person insights of contemplative practice. The quest to understand who and what we are is the most fundamental journey we can take. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. If you enjoyed exploring these ideas, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your own thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.